right, everybody's here, looks like. So I hereby call the meeting to order. So
I
we'll
move to approve the agenda.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so approved. Okay, so, Rick, you want to go over the minutes? The last meeting?
Dave looks okay to me. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
So,
No, you have to say all in favor.
I'm sorry. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
All right, so now, written statements from the public would be this email.
We got an email?
No, that's, that is item D.
Okay.
Under new business.
Any statements from the public?
Not since last week's committee meeting.
Okay. So, citizens, public comment. All right, old business.
Capital needs, not a whole lot to discuss. It's probably too late. I did not get the lawn reseeded, but we can certainly do it in the spring. It might not be too late if the weather was getting better. It's my understanding, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but it's my understanding that on the city's budget for 2023 is a new roof for the library and a new HVAC system, or at least parts of it, either like, I don't know, it could be the boiler, the chiller, probably the chiller. And that's the one that seems to give us the most bids.
Now, is that the city's going to 100% or
Yes, sir.
we have to
100%.
All right, they have building.
That's right.
We have building on it. Any other old business capital needs? So the reseeding, are we just gonna, now that we are paying for, right?
No, it's theirs.
I think we might still have some seed from what we did in the spring. It just needs to be laid down.
Okay. Did the grass ever kind of thicken up a little bit?
It did thicken up, but it's still, I wouldn't call it patchy, but there's
Right.
still some patches to the point where, you know, I was hesitant to and plus we had just seeded, so I was hesitant to schedule anything.
I think if somebody could do it, they could do it still, like
Right.
if it gets done in the next few days.
I agree. I just wouldn't want to. You think? You mean the seeding?
Yeah. If we can
Right.
get it
I
out.
think it would be fine, because it goes dormant anyway.
I'm gonna send myself an email reminder right now.
The way this weather is, I think starting Friday's gonna be a little odd, but
Well, it's
for
gonna
the
get
most part, it's
cold
pretty good.
again, I think, but it's
We're
not that bad.
Yeah. We're scared. I don't want to have a hot winter, man. What's it called?
Yeah, I mean, the Sunday forecast isn't bad.
All right, I will see about setting that into motion tomorrow. I think we still have some seed. It's just
I mean, if we still have seed, we might as well
yes.
throw it out there.
Okay, so how are we with the Friends of the Library?
So so step one is getting the build out for Workforce Investment Solutions finished, and I'm being told they've hit some snags on that.
Of course they have.
Probably early.
Is it the wall or?
I don't know. They were really, there are some parts that they can't get. Yeah, there's some materials that they can't get. So, but I think they're still looking at January, February, so finishing. So then we're going to have to give Workforce some time to coordinate a move. And I haven't talked to them yet as to how long they think that will take. But I can't, they set that up in a couple of weeks, just not working constantly with what they have now. But I think that give them 30 days, it's plenty of time.
Okay.
And then we can get the Friends moved into that space. I met with some of the Friends and our architect designer about helping them sort of figure out how to best set it up. She's going to give them some ideas. They might buy some new furniture for it.
Okay. Are they okay with the duct just kind of being like the one you said when we were talking about how we can get around that whole layout.
Yes, yeah.
Now, is there some kind of, now, we're not, lease agreement with them, right? Are they?
We've never charged them.
No.
I mean, they give us money every month,
Okay.
you know, for programs.
Yeah. So it's not like a formal charge, set out.
We have never, yeah, no, we have never charged them any rent.
Okay. All right. Everybody's favorite topic, hiring of the off-duty police officer. Well, the on-duty, off-duty police officer.
So
So let me ask you a
here's
question.
my last hurdle.
Are they, because I remember you saying the chief said he didn't really want them out of uniform. So are they on duty or not?
They're
They're
not
off
on
duty.
duty.
They're off police duty.
They're off
Yes,
police
but they're
duty,
just-
they're in uniform. If something happens, they will take care of it as an
Yeah,
on-duty officer.
I wrote up like a job description,
Not,
and
well, you know, they'll be able to do whatever.
it's exactly what they do at the schools.
So that's what you
They're
said.
there,
Right.
they're not enforcing the rules.
It's not a shift. They don't have
Yeah,
shift.
They're not enforcing the rules.
Okay.
They're there, if they see a crime being committed, they'll take care of it. Or if we say, we're trying to get this person to comply with the rules and they won't, we need your help, they'll help out. But they're not there to go around telling people to keep their voices down and
So
turn their
my
cell phones
question is
off.
though, this is my question. Are they enforcing the law?
Yeah, if somebody's
Yes.
outside smoking pot in front of the building,
Yes.
they get in trouble.
They
If
will.
somebody's in
Will
the
they- will
bathroom
they call
doing
the
drugs,
police?
they get, no, I mean, they're the police,
They
they
will
will
just-
call the
they will
police.
But they're not
they get
police when they're
arrested.
off duty.
Yeah, according to the chief, they are.
Yes,
So then they're on duty.
no. They're
I-
off duty, but it's
To-
similar to a doctor. Like
This
if
is-
a doctor's
To
there
me,
and something happens, you take care of them. Like my husband could get in trouble if you have a heart attack right there and he just walks away.
if they're on duty, we're paying for their retirement. That's all I know.
So it's like if something happens on their watch, they can
That's
say, I'm
If
on
they're,
duty now.
if they're on duty,
For
we're
this.
paying, you know, they're always peace officers. is what
No,
the chief
I
said.
mean, it's cool. I just, because I seen them, and I remember them saying they were in uniform. Okay.
He likes them
He
to be
prefers that.
represented
Right.
with uniform, and he
Yeah.
said
And we've
that we
already
have to
had,
have a good reason to have them out of
and
uniform.
we've already had 2 officers drop out because they don't want to do the full uniform.
Right, because it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why,
But that's their policy.
why do they need to be in
That's their
uniform?
policy. That's
That's
their
chief's-
policy.
Okay.
You know, that's what
They can't just wear a shirt, a t-shirt that says police?
That's what they do at the crossing, that's what they do at crossing. And he said they have been asked in some circumstances to wear what they call the soft uniform.
Soft, okay. Yeah, that's fine, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and he said if that's what we wanted, we'd have to kind of justify it, and he'd consider it. I don't have a strong feeling either way, but I think there's a lot of deterrent factor to the uniform.
And for that, we would, I mean, I'm not a library person, so it can kind of be at you guys' discretion, how you want to maintain their appearances while they're out.
Well, it's kind of a policy issue though, I mean, you know, so, but I guess my take from our conversation with Chief is it's his strong preference because it's their internal policy.
Okay.
So that if they are representing the police force, even off duty,
Yes, sir.
that they wear the uniform.
Okay.
Here's the last hurdle we've hit, as long as you guys are okay with the uniform. The last hurdle we've hit, I just found out about. So I've been trying to get an answer, am I good to go? Do we have the sort of financing, bookkeeping aspect of this ready to go? Okay, send an email to the person I've been working with over at the city, didn't get a response. So I said, well, let's try, maybe I'll try it from a different angle. I had my payroll person, Betty Jo, asked the payroll coordinator, have you been informed on how this is going to work, and are we ready to go? And she said no, and she asked some questions. Then 2 people at the city, the chief financial officer and deputy city manager talked and thought it would be best to pay them, have the civic center pay them, and then the civic center invoice us.
Okay.
It's all about, and that's about not paying overtime rates.
So are we still getting like the little discount, I mean, are they paying a portion of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, here's the rub that we found out today. So I wasn't in the room for these discussions, and the Civic Center assistant manager went ahead and offered one of the police sergeants the role of scheduler for us, which I've already offered to one of the detectives. Because the last time I talked to the city, they told me Civic Center was out of the loop. So he's said that may take me a couple of days to straighten out. So he said he's gonna straighten that out. Because he said, I acted without talking to you, so I should take care of it. So he's gonna try to figure that out. Because I offered it to Detective Kinnear, and he'd offered it to a sergeant that does his schedule. So,
And he originally said he didn't want to schedule us, so.
he's
We're
not,
something there,
he's not, but he asked, since he was the one gonna handle the payroll, he said, I'll just give it to the guy who already does my schedule. Well, so that becomes a kind of,
It's amazing how slow a process it is dealing with the city,
well,
right?
if we,
No?
if we had all set, if we had, chief financial officer and the deputy city manager and the city manager and the chief and I, and maybe you or one of you guys sat down in a room together, we could have finished it probably much quicker than separate meetings and phone calls and emails.
Right.
So, if you live anywhere.
Now, is that like, so do we have to renew any, is that a contract with these guys, do we have to renew it or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
we're not even putting it in a contract.
It's not a contract,
And
there's some job
I do have a job description and a procedures for them to sign off on.
Okay. Now,
That's
is
what
this gonna,
the chief of police wanted, a job description and procedures.
And
That's
I
what
based
he
the job description on the crossing. Crossing had a
okay.
pretty succinct job description that was very similar. I didn't have to change much, very similar to what we wanted. And then I wrote up a
Change crossing to Decatur Public Library.
more or less. So then I wrote a procedures that is, okay, come in, check in with the librarian in charge, so, log into the database, we're gonna get them access to the video cameras, do the walkthroughs.
Now, are we gonna set like boundaries, parameters on the police, with the police, like, okay, this is what we want, this is what we don't want, this is what we expect, this is
Yeah,
what we don't expect?
and I think we've had and that's kind of what that is.
Well, job description tells them what we want them to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't really speak to methodology,
Tone and all that.
psychology, you know what I'm saying, how they act, how they approach people, how they don't.
So when I talked to Detective Kinnear and gave him a walkthrough, told him, he liked one phrase that I said to him that he said, we're going to tell this to the other guys, is we welcome all people, but we don't welcome all behaviors. So, it's
We're
not
gonna
about,
make it hashtag.
I'm saying,
Catchphrase.
we're not,
And what was that again?
yeah, I'll send that to you.
Definitely write that down.
So, I mean,
Put that on the plaque in the entrance way.
Because sometimes we do get an officer in
Yes, sir.
to help us out on something that says, why do you let these homeless people in here? And I'm like, well, we can't, we've got no reason to keep them out. It's not about who they are.
Right,
Plus, we don't know who's homeless or not just by looking at them,
right.
So he agreed to that.
I was almost.
So
Your version of homeless is a little bit different.
we've worked with you a long
Maybe
enough.
living in a hotel is better.
So
It's more valuable.
it seems like every month we've got another tiny little hurdle to jump, but
Someday it will happen.
I was asked, Mike said, give me like 2 days and to straighten out the scheduling thing, and we can offer, we've got about now 14 candidates. And the idea, I think I mentioned before, hire them all, because some of them won't like it and will drop out. We may not like some of them, and we may say, well, don't schedule this guy anymore. And within a few months, we'll get down to a core of 4, 5, 6.
Now, have we voted to approve this spending
Yes.
list already?
Yes.
So then it's just a matter of.
This is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just another date. Yep.
I mean, I'll go on record saying everything else that happens, which is at your discretion. If you don't have a problem with paying through the Civic Center,
No, I don't have
I mean,
any
it's not-
issue. It's the
it's
same
not
amount
an
of money,
yeah.
same amount of money.
So, I mean, I don't have anybody else have any issue. All right, shelving and carpet project.
Carpet's gonna go out to bid Friday.
Okay.
Shelving, what might take a little while longer. They're really short-handed over at the city, and we may ask our architect to how they come out for the carpet inserts in the lobby and things like that that were on the original. We'll see what they're.
Now, has the dates of when we can, the procurement dates, has that, is it improved any? Still long lead
3
time?
month lead time. Yeah, 3 month lead time. Not for the carpet,
Was it shelved?
for the shelf.
Yes. All right, we'll move to Sophia's favorite part, new business.
I love new business.
New business.
Check register.
All right. Check register. So, going through.
So what is Envisionware?
That is our RFID tags. So those are the radio frequency identification tags that we use in lieu of barcodes for all of our items.
And what's IceWork?
IceWarp is our email server.
Oh, it's quite the name. What about Unique Management Services?
Unique Management Services is our collection agency. that we
Oh,
work
yeah,
with.
yeah. I ask you that all the time.
That's okay.
I think I ask you that all the time.
We get approximately $4 in cash or items returned for every dollar we spend. Yeah. But it sends reports every quarter, and we continue to have that same ratio.
So how are we with the Wi-Fi? Were we able to get them all converted over and back?
Yep.
The new ones?
Yep.
Sweet, okay. And so now we can get that old account off, now that we turned it
Yeah,
over?
one of them showed up in Michigan. Was it Michigan?
Oh, no, that turned out that he called the wrong library. There was a
Okay.
Decatur, Michigan,
Yeah.
but he called and he was like, I just checked this out, this thing just shut off. Yeah, and he was talking around like,
He's like, yeah, how do I get this back on?
I'm like,
My daughter lives in Decatur, Georgia.
yeah, so there's several, obviously,
Yeah.
yeah. But before I realized he was from
Decatur,
Michigan.
Georgia is a little off in our town.
What happened? Yeah.
Wow.
It was from Michigan.
Okay.
The rest of them I know, but I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Man, why did I think this was Midwest Day? I don't know what's the Midwest Day. I had to double look, I was like, wait, what?
I hope you're not vaping.
I'm not, I'm just, that's why I said,
That's strictly for
wait, what? Yeah, so,
Does anybody else have any questions?
yeah, I was just saying.
I was gonna make a motion, that's why I was
just
asking.
gonna say it too.
You can't make the motion. I don't think, right?
Make the motion. I don't want to see
Motion
you
to
do.
approve the check register.
Second.
And then we have to do this individually.
Okay, Deb? Okay. Are you in favor of the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. All right, and yes for me. All right, now, the budget actuals. This is kind of turning around, shaping up pretty good on this budget.
Yeah,
Close to the end of the year, back in the year went by so fast.
yeah, we've 83% of the years passed.
Yeah.
We've collected 108% of the revenue that we have scheduled, so we're good. That's, the revenue side is really doing well. Expense side looks better, but it's not quite as good. You know, if you look at under each sort of category expenses, under the expended, percentage expended, you can see on personnel, we're right at 83%.
Right.
Library materials, 77%. Professional services, 86%. Administrative costs, 83%. Grants, 84%. Office supplies and maintenance, we're at 67%, so that's really good. Staff development, 95%.
So now is that gonna hold out, like, they usually normally that kind of, we don't really.
And that's what I, and
push
that's,
over
and
that.
that's the next document there is I'll get to that, what my actual projection is, but, so cash, the last few pages are our cash position. We started the month with 2.6 million in the operating fund, a little over half of 530,000 in the capital fund.
Now, is it 530,000, because did we move some stuff to the operating fund, and we said we were gonna spend it, or no?
We haven't moved it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the same, this is essentially, you know, we've gotten a little interest, but it's basically what we started the year with. Cantoni Fund is at 58,000, Meyer Fund is at roughly 44,000. Our donation fund is at 12,000, including us, you know. Our total cash position is 3.2 million. Last year, beginning in November, our beginning cash position was 2.4. So we're almost $1 million ahead of where we were last year.
Or we're gonna start spending it, so.
Well, yeah. Well, so now, we haven't budgeted for the second phase of the conversion yet, correct?
We did. If you're talking about furniture. So
Furniture.
yeah, it's budgeted, we just haven't started it rolling yet.
Okay, so we haven't, but we haven't taken it, what I'm saying is we haven't reflected it on here. like as far
No,
as-
it's on next year's
Okay,
budget.
okay.
Yeah, it's on next year's budget. So, if you look at if you want to move on to the.
Yeah, I mean, so you wanna,
Real quick, is there any concerns that you have? Is anything?
Yeah, I do have one concern.
What's one thing you think
My
we should
concern
keep?
is our ability to spend all of our books and material budget. You can see we've spent 77% of it, and 83% of the year has gone by. So that leaves us, you know, November and December to spend, what?
We have to have it spent on the 18th of November.
Yeah, it's,
By the 18th?
yeah.
this month?
There's a plan.
Yeah, we've got, it's not, I don't think it's all going to get spent.
Renew all the magazine subscriptions?
Yeah, yeah, so that's
For Black
the,
Year's.
that's where the main thing is I want to spend all of that, so that you can see in the library materials, it's under books, periodicals, that's lumped together, and then per capita, that's grant money that we spend on books and materials. That's the one for accounting purposes, I really want to drain every year by December 31, because otherwise it becomes kind of an accounting nightmare, because my reporting on that grant, they're on a different fiscal year than we are,
Okay.
and it gets really, really confusing. I just like to, you know, we get it in I want to spend it in the calendar year we get it.
Right.
And we should be able to do that.
So
whether
we have
it's
about 24,000 left to spend of that.
Is there, what's your, you said you have kind of a plan?
Yeah, so
What do you think we're gonna be
some of
buying or investing
our
in?
electronic resources.
Oh, bunch of them.
That's the main thing, right?
Because we can pay Hoopla a flat
She
sum.
manages that budget, so,
We can pay them a flat sum,
yes.
so it's already off the budget and continue to
Right,
buy.
so what we do with Hoopla is we pay in advance, we make a deposit essentially, and it's a drawdown. So then when you check out a book on Hoopla, then we're charged $4. So we just we make deposits and it draws
Gosh, I
down.
feel like it costs this library a lot.
Yeah, that's,
So do you need a library card to do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And not just that, but we made the move to Hoopla Flex, leaving Overdrive, and we had patrons that were not very happy about that. But now we can invest more money into Hoopla Flex, which is going to make them
yeah,
thrilled.
we saved a lot of money by, I mean, they charged us $7,000 a year, I think,
About
roughly for just
I like
to
to
have
better.
it, that's just for the platform. Then we had to buy every book. Well, Hoopla gives us a couple of 100,000 materials for free. And if they don't get used, it doesn't cost us anything. When they get used, that's when it costs us something. What we do is a drawdown, we make deposits. So we can essentially just, whatever the difference is, we can just put it in Hoopla.
Right. Kind of like a flex bucket.
Yeah. But as far as any expenses that are over, I'm not concerned about any of them. Staff development, you'll see is at 95%, but there's really nothing left for the rest of the year for staff.
And what was the jump in professional services again? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was Deanna Jones. That was
Okay.
it, yeah.
Like, what was that, $30,000 we do like?
48.
30?
Twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Once last year, once this year. So,
Yeah, I saw that.
if you want me to, I'll go ahead and move on to
Yeah,
vacation, which
I'll
is
go.
not
Yeah,
unrelated.
good.
Which is not unrelated, so where I'm figuring we're gonna end the year for real estate taxes is, we're gonna, I think we're gonna come out a little bit over, just based on past performance. PPRT, that's the personal property replacement tax, you can see we're gonna come out way ahead. We won't get any money in, I think it's November, but we get our last payment in December, and I think that we're gonna roughly, around $1.1 million, which, we only budgeted $530,000. So that covers up a lot of sins, when you get that kind of a revenue bump. What's really different on my expenditure projection, it changes a lot, is we finally are starting to see our medical costs go down.
Okay.
So now it's looking like, whereas just a month ago, or 2 months ago, I was predicting like nearly $700,000 in costs if we kept up at that pace.
Right.
It has gotten so much better, and I'm now thinking we're gonna end up somewhere just over, about $19,000 over budget.
Now, with that, do they forecast charge you, like they say, okay, do you, what we figure like projected amount, or do you pay like on the back?
So if I understand your question correctly, so it's a self-insurance fund. So it's administered by Blue Cross Blue Shield, but it's the city's self-insurance pool,
Right.
which we're a part of. They're the ones who give me here's what we think it's going to cost.
That's what I'm saying,
this year.
yeah.
And
So
then
they say
if we do better, if their costs are lower, since it's self-insurance, they pass that savings along in real time. That's the good part of it. The bad part is, if we're doing worse than they think, they pass that extra expenditure along in real time. And that's what's happened like the last year and a half. We had been doing much better than projected. Well, during the first year of COVID, we saved a ton of money. And the thinking is because everybody's elective procedures got canceled. So that saved us a fortune. Well, then everybody started doing their elective procedures, who had put them off, and it got, that raised our costs. But it seems to be settling down. I also think this clinic is a money saver. There's one person in city finance who disagrees with that, but most of the people in city, Greg thinks and Greg and Scott are convinced it is a real money saver for for city budget
sure
and for
it
library
is.
budget. Yeah.
Because, when you go to see a doctor that is even if it's like, that's in the actual physical hospital, like their office is in hospital footprint, they charge more.
Yeah,
Because it's in the
I
footprint.
I
If you're in a clinic outside of the hospital, they charge less. Like, I was gonna get an MRI, and Dr. Paulus is not covered under my insurance, but he was $600 for the MRI, and in the hospital, which was covered by my insurance, it was $980. So clearly, if you're out of the footprint of the hospital, you're doing better.
Well,
Yeah, and it's better for the patient too. Like there's no copay for me, for us. There's no copay. I get my medicines sent to me 3 months at a time in the mail. No copay.
And
So,
in the building.
and they're in a building, so it's much better. So there's a real incentive for staff to do it too. So anyway, overall, when I'm with 2 months left, I think we're going to come in just a squeak under the expense line. So I'm thinking about $21,000 under budget on expenses. That's too close for comfort, in my opinion, but it's still not bad. And, we've had years where it's been, literally $5,000 at the end of the $4 million budget. So, and we've got options on things if it gets real close at the end of the, there's vendors will work with us. We could say, can we put this on next year's? Can you give us an extra 30 days to pay this and invoice me after January? And most people will work with us on it. So I don't really have any concerns. But this is going to leave us with roughly a $600,000 in unexpended funds, which I will recommend. We'll ask Greg about the timing, but I will recommend officially next month that we vote to move that into our capital capital reserve fund, yeah, that we can then spend on furniture too.
I miss Greg. I wish Greg could come back and hang out with us.
I'll pass that along.
Greg was awesome because he works for the city in finance, so he was able to give us all sorts of answers right on the spot and insights.
Yeah,
So
he's
when
the
he was
CFO of the city of
When
Decatur, so.
when he was on the board here, we got like instant gratification as far as the answers that were concerned.
That was just breaking the rules, huh?
No,
I'm just joking. All right, so, projected viewpoint.
Yeah, so, this Project Viewpoint reached out to us, and I hope you had a chance to do a lot here, and I understand that, but I hope you had a chance to look at it. They make videos, short films that air on PBS, like in between, Nova gets done at 7:50 and Masterpiece Theater starts at 8. There's 10 minutes to kill, and they don't have commercials on PBS. So, this Project Viewpoint, they make films, and PBS airs them in those slots. There's some examples on here of some of the films that they've done. They're doing a series on public libraries. They reached out to us and said, "Are you guys interested in it?" Dennis Quaid is the host.
Okay.
Essentially, they'd like to come here and make a film about Decatur Public Library. They interviewed producers, interviewed me, and were you there for both interviews? And they're excited about some of the things that we're doing. But here's the thing: we have to pay for it.
That's what I was, okay.
Yeah,
I like it so much they're willing to charge us to come and talk to us about why they
Yeah,
want us.
yeah. And I totally understand that. Gives me pause too. And I do recommend that you click on some of these links and look at them. But here's the thing: talk to our foundation.
Yeah.
I tried to get an electronic vote last week. They don't want to vote until such time as the board is willing to put skin in the game. And I said, well, I can approve $9,999.99.
Before it goes to the board.
There's some skin in the game, but
Right.
I don't think that was good enough. So the total cost is like $29,000 roughly. We've also formally asked the Friends, and they'll meet tomorrow to consider contributing.
And we talked about it at the full board meeting last month, not last week. And
Did we?
yeah, it was Carl, Susan, and
Yeah, that's-
Shelley that
We
were
just
there.
we couldn't
And
put it on
everybody,
we couldn't put it on the agenda because it was like within the 48-hour period that I
Yeah.
heard from these guys. We just talked about it.
because we talked about it the day before, and everybody was very in favor. Those board members were very in favor of it.
So I guess what they're saying, like, the financial commitment, what would you need us to, I guess, agree to?
Well,
Percentage?
as I said to Mr. Sorensen, who's the president of the foundation, you must be saying that the library needs to commit to more than $10,000, because
Right.
I can commit
Right.
to $9,999.99, because he said he wanted the board to.
Well, does he just want us to commit to $10,000, or does he want?
Yeah.
He wants to know whether you guys, I think essentially whether you guys are in favor of it, and as I told him, you don't necessarily, the board of trustees doesn't necessarily approve every program, but they approve expenditures over $10,000.
Right.
So are you saying that they need to put in over $10,000 before you'll call it to a vote on the foundation? And I didn't really get a
So
response.
this is what I'm thinking is I'm going to the Friends meeting tomorrow. And I assume we're gonna talk to them about
Yeah,
it.
so that's.
We put in a request
Yeah,
for
we-
$5,000.
Yeah, we've already.
5,000, so it's 29,000, is that what it is?
29
Yeah,
something.
Yeah,
So if they do 5, that leaves like 24,000
And
left.
if the community foundation wants to kick in some, and they've indicated, if you guys want to do this, we'll figure something out. maybe ADM Foundation might be interested in it, you know, because here's the thing. Every sponsor will get a, you know, a billboard at the end, you know, on PBS. It can also,
I mean, ADM does sponsor.
they'll also
PBS,
do a
so-
shortened version. They'll also do a shortened version that can be on, you know, we've got our choices. I think it could be CNN, could be CNBC, could be Discovery Network. Then the other parts of this is then we get to keep all the footage and we can use it how we want. So we're essentially, and I think it was Ouija Stewart who said at the foundation meeting, who she's been involved in these kind of things a lot. She was former director of the Community Foundation. You know, if you hire a videographer,
It's gonna be
you're
more
also going to
expensive.
need a writer. And you're going to need a, you know, and you're going to spend more than this on that just to do a local.
And she also liked the idea of us being able to keep the footage because we're about to have our 150th, and so it would give us ways to promote the library that was already paid for.
And my other thought,
And that's what
and I
Ouija
think a
writes.
lot of other people kind of think the same thing, is, you know, just a month ago, we got some bad national press in the Wall Street Journal, Decatur did.
Yes.
For our poor reading scores here in.
And math.
Yeah. So nice to have some kind of counter messaging about our community out there, you know. This is not going to have the reach of the Wall
So
Street
is this a
Journal.
one-time run though? Like it just runs that way?
That's my understanding. They keep it on their website.
40 grand for 10 minutes?
Yeah, 30, but yeah, yeah.
Well,
essentially-
30 for 10 minutes.
Well, they'll run it.
That's not-
I don't know that they only run it once.
Let's find out for sure.
So, I don't see, like, I'm with Sophia and the rest of the boards. We already had talked about it, ruled up for us, so I don't really see the issue.
Is there a formal, like, contract or anything that they would send us?
Yes.
So that's, I think before we would want to vote on anything, we'd want the formal contract, their formal proposal.
But we won't get it until we say we're in.
Right.
Yeah,
That
they
doesn't
want
make
it,
any sense.
they want it, doesn't make sense to me.
They should, there has to be some type of, you know, they wouldn't say, we won't show you what you're getting until you actually commit to paying.
But we know what we're getting.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think it's pretty good as well. I think that it'll be a nice, we're just happy, it'll be nice, the ROI on that will be really nice for the community as well. I think it's worth.
Yeah, but like, for what Jeff is saying though, like, you need to, like, if there's an NDA that needs to be signed, or any kind of agreements, what rights do they have to the content versus rights we have? You wanna,
From reading
We also
over,
don't have a green light.
Yeah, they emailed me again today.
Okay.
They're still interested.
from reading over everything, you know, sounds fantastic. Be in favor of it. From an ADM standpoint, I met with our ADM carriage group. And I don't have it off there, I meant to bring it, but there's a list of 4 or 5 areas that we're looking, that we're trying to focus on. I don't think this would be necessarily one of them, but, and this may not be the best time to mention it, but January is when they're gonna be looking for grant submittals. So I think that, I'll send the list maybe to you of areas they're trying to target for 2023, and then you can forward it on to whoever. And we should definitely, you know, I would suggest the library looks into putting in for some grant money.
I think I will request some kind of contract from the producer.
Okay.
Let's see a contract that I can put in front of my board. And if you guys want to make a financial commitment, then you can.
I suggest that we make a financial commitment upon approval of the contract, but I say we make a commitment so that we can start raising money from other people.
Yeah,
And that way-
it's not crazy what the foundation is asking for. It's pretty common to say, how much skin are you going to put in the game? I mean, it's not that,
No, I
it's
agree,
not
I
that
agree.
unusual. So, it's,
So what do you think would make the foundation happy? Like, if we put
Excuse me.
15,000 in, if we put 14 in, and we ask them for 10, like,
I don't know. I didn't get an answer on that. And, you know, we don't know what the friends are going to do. They may say tomorrow, we don't want it. And sometimes they're the only group that will sometimes go, well, that's not enough. Do you want more?
Right.
I mean, so they surprise us that way sometimes.
so I guess what we can do is, we can commit to an approval amount. Now, maybe we may not spend that amount, but that way you have negotiation room with someone else. So I don't know, what would you say is, they've already put in, I would say let's approve the full amount, and that way, regardless of whoever, that they want to finance and put money in, whatever,
That makes sense.
we can approve it.
Now help us out.
Right.
You're
Then you
here to
can
help
say
us
the
out.
board full commits to whatever, and let them pitch in how
That's
they
a good
want.
idea.
So, I mean, again, like I said, pending approval of the contract.
I think the alternative would be is just authorizing your, maybe we just call it 10,000 instead of the 9,900, and just let them know that we authorized your limit to spend as well. If we didn't, but I like the idea of authorizing the entire amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's 30, we have surplus,
fine.
we have money to,
I'm fine with
we're
authorizing
hedging, we need to hedge some of this money.
authorizing the entire amount with the approval of the contract and with the, hopefully, other people will chip in.
Well,
Oh, wait, what's that
isn't
motion?
it?
Yeah, sort of, but I was trying to.
So, since it's a discussion.
No, that's an action.
Is it an action? Okay, sorry, I didn't change my.
Okay, so I propose that we authorize the full amount with the hopes that we will raise some money to chip, from others to chip in, and that it's upon approval of the contract.
So, time out.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a lot of
You say that
caveats.
again. I know.
So.
You say it, because I'm having
Well,
trouble
so
saying it.
because I'm saying, I don't want it to be contingent upon somebody else paying.
No, and that's fine.
I mean, now, the full intent is that someone else will pay, but.
That's what I was gonna add to the, was that we were hopeful, but we were willing to pay the full amount. Does that make sense? I don't, please say
Well,
that better.
you
No,
could,
no, you good.
what you
No, I'm
could
not
do
saying-
is approve the full amount.
That's what I'm saying.
And then just direct me
Yeah,
to find other sources
Yeah.
of funding.
and that's what I was saying, I was like, we can
I
just
like that.
approve the full amount pending approval of the contract.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
And-
That's my motion.
And for-
What you just said.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay, so,
And we have to individually say this, because it's money.
Jeff, you want?
You motioned, right?
I motion.
Okay,
She
second.
seconded.
So can we, no. So I would like to make a motion to approve the full amount of the pilot pending approval of the contract.
Yeah, that's what we just did.
No, but it was kind of,
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear on the record,
It's clear.
if that's what.
And I made that motion,
Okay.
because you can't.
Okay.
Getting along,
And then I
seconded.
Seconded.
Was that?
And I'm gonna replay the video anyway, just to
Okay.
make sure I get it right.
All right, all in
You
favor,
guys
all
are
in
my
favor?
favorite board.
Aye.
I just want to say that. You guys are
I,
more fun than
they
others.
do it individually, because it's money.
Jeff, you in
Aye.
favor? Sophia, you
Aye.
in favor? Alana, you in favor? All right,
You have to say.
I'm in favor as well, the ayes have it.
That's the one that always gets me, is the individual for money.
All right, library strategies proposal.
So, Library Strategies worked with us in 2017 to develop a strategic plan. We liked their method. I think Sophia was involved in it. We liked their method. We liked their
We got a lot of feedback.
the staff that they assigned to us, and we like their price. This is only, so the bottom line here is $19,266. It's only $2,000 more than it was in 2017, which I think is pretty good. And unlike Data Jones, they actually come here. They will actually come here, and I hope you had a chance to read through. I know it's a long document, but this is, Library Strategies is the Friends of the St. Paul Public Library, St. Paul, Minnesota. They just happen to have people with some expertise on their friends board, and they said, instead of just selling books, maybe we could make some real money. And they started this consulting company.
They're pretty good.
We were really happy, so on page, it's not paginated, but we worked with Stu last time primarily, and this time
There was some woman too.
Yeah.
There were two of them.
And they do it through interviews with staff and surveys with staff. They do the SWOT analysis. They do a community survey. We got 1,200 responses to the community survey in 2017. That's an incredible.
Yeah, we were hoping for like 200 or something.
We would have been tickled with 300,
Yeah,
and we
crazy.
got 1,200. They did a day-long retreat here at the library with various stakeholders. Now, at that time, we also used a couple of focus groups that Jones and Thomas, a local organization, did for us. The focus groups were actually done for another purpose, and the foundation paid for it. It was like to get marketing information. But it was really useful for our strategic plan too. We don't have to do that, but they'd be happy to do focus groups.
Right.
Overall, I mean, my only quibble is their mission statement is so long that after 5 years, I still don't know it. I thought they did a really good job.
So for me, I just, so when I look at this, I just say, okay, I don't really see the separation between them and Deanna Jones. I think they kind of have the same focus, ultimate focus, but I see the benefit in these people being used on the back end of Deanna Jones because they do the training, like strategic planning, the staff planning, feasibility, like the operation. So they do
Certainly some overlap.
They do like some targeted training that would help correct some of the, I guess, observations or opportunities for improvement.
Yeah, and they're a little more big picture, whereas Deanna Jones was focused specifically on the DEI stuff. But they did kind of branch out in some of their recommendations, Deanna Jones. With Deanna Jones, we ended up, they never came on site. And
Which I was a little disappointed at for that price.
but we're done with them now, and we're going to be working closely with Nikki Bond to kind of take us the rest of the way through. We got a lot of, from Deanna Jones, we got a lot of literature about, okay, here's what we need to do.
And that's my reservation, right? Because you're just coming out of something similar to this diversity, inclusion, and equality, and you're going to go right back into another assessment, and you're going to have more.
Well, I think this is a little different. I mean, strategic planning and consulting services, once we finished this the last time, it basically came to our attention that we needed to renovate our library. And that was one of the things that came out of this, whereas a DEI lens looking at our library is not talking about the fact that the library needs to be renovated. It's not talking about.
Well, they had two different folks. So I agree. Like I said, there's some different. They're not 100% similar, but they do. Like this looks at everything, the library holistically. Right. Deanna Jones was looking at the library.
But I don't feel like Deanna Jones gave us they gave us a path forward through a DEI lens, but they didn't give us a path forward.
Yeah. Well, so they did a psychological profile of the library.
Well,
So that's kind of what it was. Like they didn't come and say, let's see how the library operates. So it wasn't an operational.
It wasn't really from operational.
It wasn't an operational.
Although it did.
It was what I mean. So it was it was a community relations project. Pretty much, right? So, and this is a little different. Like this is a business project, which community relations is part of the business. Correct. So that's the crossover. Now, if you could tell them, hey, listen, okay, we already have the psychological profile of the library done and underway. Can you take that part out and just give us this part?
I think it'd certainly be informed by that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all that they need, but I think they could be informed by it.
Right.
We kind of, to put it in a historical perspective, we kind of hired Deanna Jones as part of our strategic plan
From the last
2017.
Right.
Because one of our goals was to create a more welcoming environment. One of the objectives under that goal was to increase the diversity of staff, board, and volunteers.
Right.
After a few years, that hadn't happened, and we thought, well, maybe hoping isn't enough, and having good intentions. And then we formed a committee who advised us,
is that a low enough entry point to where, I mean, it's not, my only concern isn't that they not do it. I'm just saying, you don't wanna do double work, like, there's a portion of that where they do what Deetta Jones
I will
said.
definitely share everything that all of Deetta Jones's findings with them. I agree that they shouldn't.
I feel like these guys, really brought the public's view into it more than Deetta Jones did, like the Deetta Jones.
That's not what it's about.
No, I know, but that's what this.
No, I know, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, I mean, I mean, we're saying the same thing, right? I'm not saying.
Yeah, no, I'm
against
only saying what I'm saying because I was
Yeah.
involved the first time they were here.
Well, like I said, this is
But I was involved not as a board member, I
Yeah.
was involved as a member of the public.
and all I was saying was, this versus Deetta Jones, one's a personal profile, an employee profile, the other one's a business profile.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, it gave
There are
us some
elements-
strategic
there are-
goals to live up to.
as a business,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
How the library should look.
And unfortunately,
Artifacts.
so here's the thing is that this is the reason why I, like the idea of bringing them back in is because you should revamp your thoughts and views of your company every so many years. But what happened was is that we were gung-ho right into our planning and 2020 hit. And we had all these committees, we had people willing to start raising money for us, and 2020 hit and
Knocked
everything
us
came
off
to
the
a
rails, for
screeching halt. And now, we're like getting some carpeting and some furniture, but we're not doing like the major stuff we were gonna do before that. And I think these guys may actually be able to help us, figure out how to get people back in too. I mean, that's one of the things, they really fired up the community, which is what I liked about them.
And 100% agree, fresh eyes, fresh focus, fresh initiatives, you wanna refresh that because you were geared up to do it and you kind of.
Well, it just got-
Academic, right? But all I'm saying is, maybe it'll be 18,000 instead of the 21,000.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's a component of it we did.
We need
And
to
it's
share.
worth asking, I mean, they
share
can,
with
they
This is
can,
why I
they
like
can
having
come
you
in
on
and
the
say,
board,
they can
because
come
you're
in
like
and say no.
budget lining it going.
I mean, Edwards.
I'll talk to him, but I agree that there's no, to the degree that they're doing a DEI component, we have done that, we've spent some money, we're still doing that.
100,000.
And we're gonna spend some more, but it's.
Yeah, oh yeah, so the person that's come behind, we gotta pay that as well, right? Is that a separate cost, or is that
Yep.
factored into, that wasn't factored into the Goes
No, it was not, and it was something that, you guys did kind of direct me, like, when we might want to supplement this with some local,
Right.
and that's what we're doing. Actually, Nikki now lives in Chatham, but she is a Decatur
Yeah.
person, she's from Decatur, she works at Milliken, so.
Jeff, you have any,
Yeah, I think this would be a good refocus for the library, like you said, not just on the diversity side of things, but the whole library, the whole business aspect of the library. And I think the big thing, just remind them what our goals are. Going into it, these are our goals as a library. Hey, maybe you have a suggestion for another goal, but hey, remind them, hey, this is our goal, this is the Decatur Public Library's mission. Help us improve on that. Keep them focused.
We got knocked off track and
I feel like we were
recovered.
doing so well.
We really did, and but that strategic plan that we had, we did make progress on, and some of the things we completed. But we, like a lot of places, COVID changed. Yeah, I can't hit the breaking ball.
Elena, do you have any thoughts on the strategic plan on the library?
I think it's great.
Ms. Allison? Well, I mean, I can still ask.
I appreciate that. I love library strategies,
Right.
and if we get to do the implementation plan, that was the best part.
Right.
We were doing amazing work with them.
We were
I'm
doing amazing
so
job,
excited
and
to have them back, because I know
Funny.
them and I trust them.
That's the other thing, they don't just give they work, once they do the overview strategic plan at the board level, you know, then they come and meet with us and say, who's gonna do what by when? Help us figure out who's gonna do what by when. So they do an implementation plan too.
And now to Jeff's point, I know we're kind of coming out a couple of minutes. Who sets the vision for the library? Wow, okay, I see, wait a minute.
You do.
No.
You guys in
The
the
budget, the
administration.
spending. So our job is to say yes or no to how crazy Rick wants to be. Right?
So
No,
the mission and the vision is approved by the board, is
Right.
approved by the board. I mean, you guys approve policy, you guys approve mission and vision. It should be a partnership with the library administration.
Right.
You know, it's not solely the board's responsibility, but it's not solely the administration's responsibility too.
Right.
You know, we just gotta get on the same page with it. And I think going through this process, especially with so many new board members, I think it's gonna be healthy for the board as well.
Right. That's what I'm saying, like I'm assuming it's people like Miss Alyssa who go out to these library committees and come back and say, oh, these are the wonderful things that libraries are doing, innovative ways that we can be better libraries, and come back. And so I'm assuming that kind of goes into forecasting the libraries. Okay, because I think from what Jeff is kind of, and what I was kind of listening for too, is sometimes these people come in and say, okay, well, you guys be doing this and approaching it like this and doing that, and the strategy is to you give us a best strategy to do what we want to do.
If
not
I
a
remember
strategy to
correctly,
do-
when they came in, they questioned us about our library, what we wanted from our library. They had us in focus groups that we kind of discussed what we loved about it, what we wished for it, and then we all discussed it quite a bit and then came to some consensuses, and then they gave.
Okay. If you can find the old report, just kind of for some
Oh, yeah, easy. You should have it in
some
your.
spare materials.
You should have it in your initial orientation materials, but I'm happy to send you an
It'd
electronic
be
copy.
good to just kind of look over kind of the deliverables and what
Send
they did, how they
myself another.
Email.
Every new hire gets a copy and to see what we're about and where we're going, what we're doing. And I'm anxious to get a new one.
Nah.
Yeah, and we really did. I mean, we just, in 2020, and I even came to the board at the time and said, we need to focus on being responsive to what the community needs in this pandemic rather than, you know, the things.
I just felt like we hit the brakes.
That we set out in normal times.
And it was, I felt like we were having all this great momentum.
Well, we can get it back. Libraries make
Well, I
money,
think
that's
I think that's the whole point of doing this again, is just to get a.
So much of the work is already done, we just have to go back to it.
all right, so,
So do we need to make a proposal?
well, does anybody have any objections? So from what I heard, nobody had any objections to it.
Well, if I'm gonna spend it, it's more than, if I'm gonna contract with them, it's more than I can approve.
So can we just, can we postpone until we get a dollar amount?
We got about it.
Is that the number, but is that?
That 19,000 is the,
Yeah.
yeah, 19,200.
Anybody want to?
And, you know, we might be able to get it down if we say, hey, we've already done the DEI portion, we don't need you to do that.
Like I said, we'll do it like we did with the other, we'll approve the full amount, whatever kind of comes back, brings it back.
I vote that we approve the full amount and that we ask them to take off the DEI portion, and hopefully the bill will be lower.
Second.
All right, Jeff.
Aye.
Well, let me call it, I'm sorry.
You
Jeff?
don't have to say the name.
Okay,
Just point
good.
to it.
I'll get it, it's okay.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, we're on video too.
That's what we just have to,
Yes.
we just individually have to say aye on the video,
I got it.
basically.
They said I video.
Did you do the second, I'm sorry?
Yes.
Alana.
I did.
Alana, okay,
See,
sorry.
see,
Wasn't
right.
sure. That's why I watched the video.
All right. All right, so that brings us to the end. Is there any other business?
I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. We
There's
went
nobody
over by
involved.
2 minutes, sorry.